Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, something I've never actually done before, and going to be taking a look at an article I saw a couple of months ago from a website called Book Riot that is titled 9 of the Best Fantasy Maps in Books. And I saw this and I was pretty sure that I'd have some strong opinions, possibly some disagreements here with it. So let's take a look. I'm going in with an open mind. I don't actually really remember totally what all of them were until I went. I have them all open actually now because this is take two trying to record this. Not only did things take forever to load, but I also had some audio issues, which are hopefully fixed now with this version. So let's take a look at the so-called 9 of the best fantasy maps in books. I feel like they purposely said of the best so that they can be like, well, we weren't showing you the best, just some of them. Let's see. So we'll take a look. So start with Lord of the Rings, and I mean, like, who can disagree with that? You can't really disagree with Lord of the Rings. It's Lord of the Rings. It's the granddaddy of them all when it comes to fantasy. It's got a fantastic map. There's so much detail here because it's Tokyo, of course. So we look here. Here's Gondor, Mordor, Rohan. I can actually zoom in, take a look at all these different places. This is a beautiful map. I don't feel like I have to convince anyone of this. It's a beautiful map. I mean, it just is. Come on. So I think we're all good there. And starting off with Lord of the Rings, makes your list seem a bit legitimate, so that's good. The next up we have Earthsea, and I read many years ago The Wizard of Earthsea, the first one, but I haven't actually, I don't think, read the others. I didn't really remember a ton about the map. So this one I got pulled up here. It's pretty cool to look at, and I really liked this one. Detailed, you do tend to get, I've noticed a lot of fantasy maps do center around ocean-covered kind of areas, and it depends, I guess, how big the area. This one has quite a lot of islands, but very detailed, pretty cool with looking at all of the different places, all the little archipelagos, and combining here. So I found myself here too. I think this is a really cool map. I'm not going to argue about this one. I don't, like I said, remember a ton about most of this just because I read the first book forever ago, so it's definitely one that I want to reread, but a lot of detail looking at kind of different areas here. I'm completely good with this one. I'm good with Earthsea as well. So we're starting off strong. So next we have the map of Song of Ice and Fire here. And this one too, I was never a huge fan of Song of Ice and Fire. I quit halfway through Feast of Crows. So I remembered a little bit about the map. I looked up a world map, and so I know Westeros is where we spend most of our time in the books that I got to. And this one too, I think maybe like a fan one that shows more detail. But even if it's a fan map, if it's a legitimate map, which this is, I think it works. So we've got the wall up here, everything else, taking a look. So the one thing that immediately stands out is, like, I assume there's more, but it's kind of weird to me that the ice cap is like here, but there's no other ice cap. This still, though, is a pretty solid map. We got multiple continents. We got a lot of detail, different terrains, different areas. So definitely, I think I like the first two definitely more than this one, but I'm still not going to argue too much. We got a fair amount going on here. So then we move on to some stuff I haven't read. First one, we had Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Ademi. Probably saying that one wrong. I've heard of this, but I definitely haven't read it. And so we're looking at Orisha. And this one I'm kind of torn on because I do like we've got this kind of like square thing going where it actually looks like you're looking at a real map. But there's just not a whole lot going on here. It's a pretty small map. From the look of it, at least, it's hard to tell how much this is actually taking out. A lot of stylization here, which definitely helps taking a look at different places. We have Holy Temple, Royal Palace, this cool looking like volcano here. But as far as a map, like as art, I think this is really cool. But it's, I don't know, it's definitely not going to be up there for me map-wise, just based on how it's looking. Let's keep going, see what we got next. And next we have Broken Earth Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. something I really need to read. I have the books, I just have not gotten to it. Hope to at some point. And this is the Broken Earth map, and I legitimately when I did the first take, I went and got the book. So I'm like, am I missing something? Is this really the map? And as you can see, if I can find it again, that's really the map. I don't want to open it too wide. So this is a boring map. I mean, there is. I dropped it. It's okay. I confirmed it is okay, even though I dropped it. But there's not a lot going on here. Like I don't get this being included in a best. There's very little detail. I mean, I'm guessing from this that a lot of this is uninhabited. I can see this is desert, this is tundra, but there's very little detail. Not a lot pulled out. Just kind of a weird shape, and I don't get this at all. This is one of the more boring maps I have seen in fantasy. This would be like if I was making a list of 9 of the worst fantasy maps. This is probably going to be on it. So I don't understand this one. And this is kind of where I start to feel like this list is probably going more toward what are some really popular series that happen to have maps that we can include to get more clicks. Which you can't necessarily blame them, but I mean there's a little questionable there. So then we have the Akatar. This is the first one. Oh, that is Akatar. Okay, I'm so used to just hearing Akatar from Alan, so that's all I can think of here. So let's take a look at this one. And it looked like there was like a smaller version of this, I think. I tried to find the most expansive maps when I was pulling these up, but this one is it's not too bad. We have like the more detailed part here. There's not a lot going on here, but honestly, the first thing that stands out to me is I don't understand this like 9 shape, because like that's got to be intentional, right? And maybe it's relevant to the story and I just don't know about it, but it's sort of just like a random 9 hanging out. It does not look like a natural formation at all. I'm really confused by this wall here too. I don't know if that's like a call out to like A Song of Ice and Fire or something, but we've got a wall, so this is okay. Like I don't know, nothing about this is screaming out. We got a lot of blank space without a lot of detail here and here in the ocean, and so I don't know. I don't hate this one, but I'm definitely not sold on it. So Shadow and Bone by Lee Bardugo. I know I've heard of this one. I think this is the one that's got a TV show now. I know I've heard this it even says Netflix right there, so yeah, that'd probably be the one. But Walker Ride 7, I know, has read this series. So let's take a look. I think that's this one. So this is a nice big map file. So this is another one where it's not too busy. We do got, I can zoom really far. I don't know what that is. That's interesting. The Unsea. That's kind of cool. I don't know what the Unsea is, but that piques my interest a little bit. But we've got some stylization. This is another that's got kind of like you're looking at an actual square map, which is interesting. But we don't have a ton going on here. A lot of stylization, but just a lot of kind of like empty space where there's not a whole lot going on. So this is an interesting one. The art's interesting here, and I don't hate this one either. But I still don't know that I'd include this in a list of the best. What do we got next here? Okay, so here we go. Like, if you've seen my channel or talked to me in Discord, you know I have very strong negative feelings about the Poppy War. But this is where I got a little mad, because you're really gonna tell me this belongs in a list of the best maps. This is one of the most boring maps I have ever seen. Granted, I know it is supposed to be based on like China and Japan, but this is still very, very boring, very plain. We do have like some stylized things here, but this is just boring. You can't convince me otherwise. This is a really boring map, and I don't know if I dislike it as much as the 5th season one, even though this is technically a better map, but it just annoys me for some reason. But I mean, this is just bad. This is not a cool map at all. It just isn't. It should not be on this list. All right. Finally, we have Circe by Madeline Miller. I feel like I've heard of this book. I also have not read this one. So I looked at this, and like this is cool. Like as a piece of art, this is pretty nifty. It's very, very stylized, and so I could kind of see it being here on this list. But at the same time, like, this is a really simple map. It's cool looking, but is it like a really, really great map? Like, as like a painting, an art piece, this is cool, but I still think just a little bit questionable on math. So overall, not a big fan of this list. They started out strong, and I think just went for like, they want to get as many clicks as possible because some of these maps were just plain not good or pretty plain. So let's talk though. What are some maps that I like? Now there's a ton I could talk about here. I don't think anybody's going to be too surprised. The first one I'm going to bring up, but I stand by it. I mean, look at this map. Like, the Wheel of Time is a lovely map. Not only is it interesting in general, but it's very, very detailed. We've got all kinds of different stuff. Now, this is one that it looks like has had a lot of stuff added. The actual book map, you can tell, like the ones that are like all these little points are adding where more stuff is, because that detail is available in the books. But even like the basic map, there's so much here. We've got the mountains, we've got the blight, we have all kinds of different terrains and the bits of the ocean. There's so much here, and this is just one of my favorite maps. Favorite series, one of my favorite maps. Not a huge surprise, and we even do get in the world of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, with the big white book, which I did a video talking about that a little bit. We get a world map, which is pretty cool looking too. And so we can see, the blight, the ice caps, Australia down here, and like that whole really cool map with all that detail. That's just this one little area here, and there's still all the rest of this. It just shows you how awesome the maps are. So I love my Wheel of Time maps. I will absolutely stand by that. And the fact that you did not put a Wheel of Time map, when granted, like the TV show's coming out soon, like that would have been easy clicks anyway. People are interested in the Wheel of Time. It's very popular. There's a TV show coming out for it too. Like, come on, you should have included that anyway, even if you didn't think it was a good map. And then some other ones I wanted to pull up. Here's a map of Roshar. This does follow that kind of circle surrounded by ocean, which I like I said, is I found kind of common. But when it's well done, it's pretty cool because this is an interesting map. We do get some different features here. I picked one that shows a lot. We got the mountains, the shattered plains, just kind of different areas and colors here to show the kind of the landscape. This is just very, very eye-catching. There are a lot of different versions in the different books too. There's some really cool maps in Arcanum Unbounded that I really enjoyed too. We get to see maps of the different worlds as well. So this is also a really awesome map. And once again, like, Stormlight is one of the most well-known fantasy series and has a cool map, and you don't include it, like you're just writing a bad article. You're just writing a bad article, Book Riot. Let's look at a couple more, because I pulled this one up. So this is from the book The Ruin of Kings, which I just recently read, and I was kind of on the fence about it. My review will be coming out really soon, maybe this Friday, I don't remember. It'll come out really soon. So this isn't even like it's like something I'm biased because it's a huge favorite, but very detailed map as well. I like that I can actually zoom in on this too. But just like taking lots of shape. It is following the, we're surrounded by ocean type things still too, which is pretty normal looking at a continent. But lots of just unique things here. So we've got the different areas. Now this I complained a little bit about it on some other maps. It does have some like blank space in some areas, which I think is once again to be probably they're not as inhabited. But it's got enough detail in a lot of areas that for me it makes up for a little bit. We're not having a ton of constant blank space. We are noting that there are some stuff like down in here. So I thought this was pretty interesting as well. I pulled up to the Circle of the World, and it's got the bloodstain, so I'm assuming this is an official one. I know there weren't actually maps in the first Law books when I read it, but this is kind of an interesting one too, just kind of showing all of the different areas. And this is unique, whereas like most of our story takes place here, at least for the trilogy, so there's all these different places. I've seen a few other maps. This was a cooler one than I'd seen before, but just another example of a pretty well-known series that has a way better map than many that were included on that list. And of course, we got to talk a little bit about Malazan, because Malazan, if you're going to talk maps when we have an entire freaking world to look at, there is just so much to see here. So this is an actual like world map where we're flattening it out and taking a look. So like here's the continent of Lether. We have Genovacus, where we have a lot of time here. Assail, Quantali over here. So there's just so much here. Now this one I believe was made by somebody, and it's not an actual book map. The thing is though, like the book maps themselves are really, really good too. Like as you get through and you look at specific areas, like this is just a map of 7 cities. There's so much really cool stuff here, and I just feel like Erickson paid so much attention to the maps for all of the different areas. And so once again, Malazan, I kind of get it is getting more popular on BookTube, but it's not the most popular, so I can see them not necessarily including it. But just for the mapping that scopes the absolute most amount of time, I just feel like you probably could have included this as well. So those are just a few maps that I really enjoy. I wanted to at least show a few that I think very much could have been included instead of some of the ones that were. What are your thoughts? Let me know what some of your favorite fantasy maps are. If you want to talk more about it in the Wizardly Duo Discord, which of course I will link down below, we actually do have a channel that's about fantasy maps. We've had some fun looking at just some interesting maps or cool maps and kind of talking about it, so definitely check that out. If you were interested in the content of this video, let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my thoughts on any of these maps, or like I said, if you've got other ones. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, and of course, if you'd like to see more of my content, then make sure to subscribe.